Yeah. Everybody believes money makes the world go round, but sometimes we need to be careful about the kind of food we hang around and people that we talk to, and that will be the theme. Careful is the theme for the today's show, and this is the best show in the whole of the universe. It's still news, instant sports, airing of course live on the band Radio Scope, on your YouTube, on your Spotify podcast, Apple podcast, and whatever podcast that you have. I have on the show with me today, I have Roku Kachi, and we have a lot of talking points. Not so much to talk about, honestly, but a couple of strong talking points of sporting event across the world. And we're going to be starting with Ime Udoka, but I'll allow Kachi introduce himself first.
Sport fans, always a pleasure. I never take it for granted to be a part of this show. We also thank you for being on this journey with us. Debo mentioned, be careful about the company you keep and actions you take has become really sacrosanct because we've seen wrong communication, wrong advice, wrong actions take down many greats, not even in the sporting world only, but also in life generally. All this will get to dissect what becomes of the Boston Celtic. Rumor has it that Kevin Durant knew about this potential suspension, and that was why he decided not to push for his move to Boston Celtics. All this we will let you know about. Welcome to this show once again.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Roku Kachi. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to. Okay, you probably have to tell us one or two things about predictions going to the Premier League starting back on October 1st. But of course,
Right.
we're starting from the NBA today. And where else do we start from? From the Boston Celtics. Um, Different things have been said about what happened to Ime Udoka, and people are like, okay, how do you even? What kind of effrontery? Why will you cheat on your long? For that matter, one of the best actresses or actors in the history of Hollywood, and stuff like that. But the primary question people have been asking is the fact that it's spelled out in the rules or regulation of Boston Celtics that you can't have intimate relationship, whether consensual or not consensual, with
Mhm.
people in the within the franchise. But Udoka is being nailed to the wall right now. But for some strange reason, Kachi, we don't hear what the name of the woman is, what punishment will be meted out to the woman, and nothing is being said about that. But Udoka is on the front line, just pushing him to take all the blame. It's not like I'm saying Udoka is not wrong. He's wrong. Personally, I think he's wrong because there's a clause in his contract against that. But what's good for the goose, it should be good for the gander as well. And he who wants equity must always come with clean hands. Looks like some people have touted that probably is racial bias. Some have said it's just inequality between gender. Some have said it's gender protection and whatnot. But I want to see there should be precedence. And I want to see and I want to see equity in situations like this because we are setting a bad precedent for us for ourselves right now. And if reverse was the case and Udoka was the so-called subordinate, so to speak, because this is a consensual relationship. Let's just put it out there, according to what the Boston Celtics put out in their communique. If this was the reverse case and Udoka was the subordinate, is this kind of treatment going to be meted to the lady? And why are they treating him like this? Honestly, Kachi.
Debo, to be honest, I've been racking my head as well on this. And the only explanation I could come with is what you pointed out that she was the subordinate and Udoka was the bigger story here. But also, I see no reason why, um, apart from that, the fact that she's a subordinate, I see no reason why she's not being mentioned. I guess solely because of this gender protection that you alluded to, where they don't want a lot of backlash. to fall on this lady, whether positively or negatively, or whether
Negative.
rightly or wrongly, rather, to have this backlash, because no backlash is positive. However, I also don't want to absolve Ime Udoka of this. I
Of
know that
course.
this is the same action that has taken down giants in the game, from the famous Monica Lewinsky debacle and Bill Clinton
Yeah.
to I think it's the penultimate global CEO of McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it happen many times.
Many
Probably
times.
the only person whose um, uh, affair did not bring down was probably the previous president of the United States of America.
Donald
And
Trump.
that's usual. That's probably due more to his own personality and temperament,
Personality.
and the fact that no attempt was made to use that to bring him down. On a lighter note, Ime Udoka cheated on the wife I lent him in Nia Long, and we won't take that lightly. But that's just on a lighter note. For those who are within 35 and 44, probably grew up adoring Nia Long. Before Halle Berry, there was a Nia Long. She was who we grew up watching, from the Fridays to the numerous black
Black
movies we watched
movies.
growing up. But coming back to the sporting issue, Ime Udoka could have done this any other place. He chose to do it
Where
in
is?
his workplace, even with the possibility and the risk of him being discovered and suspended happening. My challenge, or my grouse, is does the suspension have to be a year long suspension? I think
Exactly.
I totally agree, and I don't have the facts, but I think there are racial undertones to it. LeBron James has said this. I try to tell everybody that no, I don't know the Celtics to be racist. Maybe their fans, but not the owners or the organization itself. But this is leading to it, because I don't see where a coach will be suspended for an entire season and comes back and gets that same job, especially if his replacement, I believe his name is Joe Mazala or whatever.
Masula.
Yeah, or
Mazula.
whatever his name is. I'm sorry if I butchered his surname.
Mazula.
Um,
Yeah.
Especially if he does well, it becomes very hard to tell Ime to come back and take the reins of that. But even beyond that, how does he even look at every other person in that organization in the eye? I think relationships have been strained.
Mm-hmm.
The owner said it was a month-long investigation before they decided on a year-long suspension.
Long succession,
Uh,
which to
I
me is
pers-
unreasonable.
I personally thought that they should have left um, the arbitration of this matter to the NBA to arbitrate on, similar to what the NFL does when there are domestic violence issues, or in the case of Deshaun Watson, who was accused of uh, sexually assaulting over
Sexual
60
assault.
60 something ladies while getting a massage. The league took a stand and meted out the punishment, not his franchise, the Cleveland Browns. So that tells me that there are so many factors in play that we don't know of. Many of these factors, I believe, were racially motivated. But please, for listeners and viewers, this does not absolve Ime Udoka of the punishment meted out. I'm only saying that punishment does not look to be equitable. It
Yeah.
looks to have been inspired by other vendettas.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody probably expected Ime to excel as quickly as he did in
As
year
he did.
one.
Yeah.
Brad Stevens moving up, and I'm not saying this is Brad Stevens stuff, but I'm sure a lot of people were like, ask themselves, what we have struggled to achieve, how is this one-time assistant coach coming in here to
Able to
do
do
it?
it with
So
ease.
he, I said, and I said something during our production call, and even during the course of the week, that as much as this punishment looks suspicious, he may played right into the hands
Into
of
the
his
hands.
detractors.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it becomes hard to justify. How do we even justify that this was racially motivated? How do we justify that it was consensual? How do we justify so many things we cannot justify? Why? Because of that single clause in his
in
employment
his
contract
contract.
that says in office romance, whether
It's
consensual or
prohibited.
otherwise,
It's
is
prohibited.
not encouraged in the Boston Celtics network. So it is a sad ending because I think this is the end of his career.
This is
In
the end
fact,
of his
what
career.
makes it
End of his
sadder
career.
is that he may be blacklisted because it is already hard to get black coaches or black head coaches in the NBA in
Job.
a sport that is dominated by 85% of African Americans or blacks in the diaspora. They only have maybe 4 or 5 coaches in a 30-team sport. Now, one of those 4 or 5 coaches who we thought would go on to have
A
a
good,
fruitful
great career.
career has jeopardized that. And not only has he jeopardized that, unfortunately, the America that we live in today is an America that stereotypes. So if one black man can do it, then several black men can do it, and
Can't do it.
that has pushed the agenda for black inclusion in the head coaching jobs in the NBA. He pushed it back maybe 4 or 5 years. It is a
Yeah.
sad thing. I hope he bounces back. I hope Nia Long forgives him. I hope that the story is not what I fear it is. But precedents have shown me that once you are blacklisted, especially once it's a case where in Nigeria, in Yoruba, we say, "O serve more lower, O to serve more lower in NBA." And
Mhm.
unfortunately, like the Kaepernick situation, because Kaepernick chose to kneel, which he
Yeah.
did, that has blacklisted him. I think Ime Udoka just unfortunately ended his career and affected that of black people. How
Yeah.
this will push going forward, whether there will be a lawsuit or counter lawsuit, I wait to
It's
see.
it's
But
it's it's
it's a
it's,
sad,
an,
it's a
it's
sad
another
ending,
discussion.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a sad ending if you ask me, because this is the end. People might not want to accept right now, but this is the end. Going 1 year, I think it's not equitable. Suspending him for 1 year, unless it's
exactly.
within the contract stipulation that if situations like this occur, you have to go on a 1 year suspension, which I think is unreasonable.
It is.
Factually,
I
if
totally
it was a
agree.
if it was a case of probably sexual assault or rape, then it should be justifiable. But for a
Mm-hmm.
consensual relationship, he just had an extramarital affair. For a consensual relationship, I think a 1 year it's too much. And like you said, like you pointed out, KD, we heard about this. That's why he saw pedal on his move to Celtic, and there's a we could lay precedence to that as well, given that Celtic said they did an extensive investigation
Mm-hmm.
into the situation, but before they came up with this, I don't know, with this jungle justice. If you ask me, it's a jungle justice. If you ask me, Kachi, top 5 in the top 10 in the NBA was coming
Mm-hmm.
came out. But I'll rather focus on the top 5. For some strange reason, the MVP of the playoffs, actually of the championship, it came at a distant number 5, ahead of behind Nikola Jokic, Joe Embiid, Luka Doncic, and of course Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo, realistically, there's no way, form of fashion that I want to look at it. Giannis was the best player in the league last season. It was, and if not for the fact that he did not have Chris Middleton and who happens to be his number 2 at the box,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
probably would have gone beyond where they were, where they
Second
went
round.
in the
Yeah.
championship in the second round in the playoffs. And of course, Luca carried his team on his back, and he did pretty well, defeating the last 2 years ago finalist, who happens to be the Phoenix Suns, after they abused him, I think in game 3 or game 4, to show them that, yo, I can do this, I'll do it myself. And he did it pretty well. Even gave the Golden States a run for their money as well. It was not a complete sweep. Of course, that is understandable. Joel Embiid, we know Joel Embiid is probably the most dominant player in the NBA, and you can't take it away from Joel Embiid. The fact that he's one of the best and one of the most blessed players in the NBA. But my surprise, and I'm sorry to say this, it will still be Nikola Jokic, uh, being in the top five. Uh, Season 19 for LeBron. LeBron was the sixth. Kevin Durant was Kevin was number eight. Jam Morant was number nine. I don't think there's any way I'll pick Nikola Jokic ahead of Jam Morant, ahead of Kevin Durant, ahead of LeBron. And this is my simple reason. I want you to disagree with me if you think it is. Like we said, Joel Embiid dominant. Giannis Antetokounmpo, even the year that I won the championship, nobody was expecting the Bucks to perform as well as they did. Devin
Mhm.
Booker, we saw what he did with the Suns 2 years
Mhm.
ago, and it's not like the Suns is one of the best teams in the league. Same with same with the Bucks. These guys are not the most talented. I'll say it anyway. Giannis is not the most talented basketballer, but he has the whips, he has the caprices, he has the zeal, he has the mental presence to
Mhm.
be one of the best. But he's not the best. You can't compare his natural ability with someone like Kevin Durant or LeBron James or even John Morant or what we are
Mhm.
seeing of this budding talent Charlie Nolet, my boy. What is his name again? Melo Ball. You
Lamelo.
see, you see these boys and okay, but coming into this discussion, you can't take away what Giannis has done. You can't take it
Mhm.
away from him. You can't take away the spirited play that Giannis possesses or brings to the table every time he gets to the cup. You can't say the same about Nikola Jokic. This is the same guy that cannot drag this thing. And like I said before we started the show, I don't care about what you do in the regular season. The playoffs is the real
That's
basketball.
where you make your money. Yes.
That's where you make your money. That's where you
Yeah.
show us that I have the spirit. It's not just about chasing records or trying to get. Anybody can just try to say, okay, let's qualify for the playoffs this season as well. And when we get to the playoffs, would and of course, this has been the um, the argument against teams like Suns before now.
Mhm.
I forgot the other name of the Utah Jazz as well.
The
This has been
Jazz. Yeah.
this has been and it's even the argument
Look at the
against a
Nets.
player like James Harden. Like
Mhm.
you don't come forth for us when it comes to the playoff time. So
Mhm.
why should we rate you? And that's the same thing with Nikola Jokic. I don't dispute. He has the right attitude. He has the right mentality. He has the right basketballing team. But until he shows us that he can do it when it matters most, I don't think he should be on the top five, if you ask me.
Debo, I agree with you. But let's also realize that a ranking that does not come from the NBA is
Yeah, of course.
subjective.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
I personally think the reason why Luca is in the top five is because
Mhm.
he's been in the regular season MVP conversation the last couple of years.
Yeah, 100
If he
percent.
was not a back-to-back MVP, Luca would not rank in that top five. The reason why is even we're even talking about him was because he won the regular season MVP. Now, to your point, I also want to see more from Luca before I put it, from Nikola rather, not Luca.
Yeah,
Apologies, from Nikola Jokic. I also want to see more from Nikola Jokic than what he brings or shows us in the regular season. The regular season is 82 games, and you need at least 56 games to be able to be eligible for any MVP voting.
uh-huh.
What he has shown is he is consistent enough to be mentioned in the regular season MVP. But consistency is not what wins you championship. It's dominance when everybody locks up. The referee swallows the whistle. Some of the
Yeah,
fouls you get in the regular seasons, you
that
don't
season.
get them in the playoff because his
Yeah,
playoff basketball is much more physical, and Luca is not physical. They box him out, and if they make him a scorer and not a playmaker, Luka tends to struggle, and that's what we've seen over the course of his career so far. LeBron James was at that flummox or that stage of his career as well in the early part where everybody thought he did not have the killer instinct, and that's why he couldn't win a championship. Case in point, 2011 against
yeah,
the Dallas Mavericks. But he elevated his game And we saw that when he defeated the Celtics big three, when he went to the Spurs and won, even in games they thought they should have lost.
They should have
So that
lost.
is what I expect to see from Luka. Um, I thought I really think that Curry should be ranked higher than Luka. I
Of
also
course.
think Curry should be ranked higher than that. Not just Luka. I keep saying Luka, and I
Look at
totally
Nicola.
apologize. I think
Nicola
Curry should
Jokic.
be ranked higher than Nicola, but I also think Curry should be ranked higher than Luka Doncic. Why? He's done what neither of these European guys have done. Take nothing away from their game, but Curry took a team that barely struggled in the play-in tournament two seasons ago
She's
and
go.
took
Yeah.
them to the final. And everybody said, "Oh, Curry has won three championships before now, but he's never won Finals MVP." And he proved the critics wrong.
Yeah.
That is what the likes of Nicola and Yuka and Luca and to a larger extent Joel Embiid need to do.
To
Their
replicate.
games need to be elevated to the next level where we talk about them when it's four teams left, when it's the final two teams left, and they are
Hmm.
now the focal point of the entire
Of
eyes of fans of
the
basketball.
world.
Until they do that, NBA, ESPN may rank them in the top five, but I think they should be maybe in the top 15, not top five.
All right. Perfect. And talking about the guys that miss out of the top 50, and people are saying for this season, for this upcoming season, they probably will be in the top 50. Number one is Ben Simmons at number 76. Of course, Tyson
Number
Aliborton,
76 without playing any game.
of course. Of course, Tyson Aliborton, number 56. Jalen Green at number 62. Do you think any of these guys will be in the top 50 ranking come the end of next season? All
Jalen
things being equal.
Jalen Green may make it, but with all the drama that is happening now around the Celtics,
Mm-hmm.
I totally don't know. The truth is that for me, all eyes will be on Ben Simmons, who got a ranking even without a passing or dribbling one basketball. I listened to an interview he gave during the week where he said
Yeah,
now this season he's going to shoot as many threes as possible. That even if Kevin Durant is wide open, he's taking that shot. So I want to see that killer instinct also in Ben
attitude.
Simmons. I want to see that he has exercised his demons. He's come out a new man. He's ready to play basketball. I think for me, he will be the one that I'm most impressed and
Likely.
probably the one that will garner more attention than KD this season. We just want to see how
Uh,
and what level Ben Simmons is in.
hopefully it's going to be for the right all the right reason, not the wrong season.
He
Wrong
may just
reason.
leave. We may call him now for an interview and he leaves the group chat. So I'm not surprised.
Okay, and talking about the most overrated players on the list. Number one, we have Bradley Bell at number 19, Chris
Mhm.
Paul at number 21, Tyrese Maxey at number 44, Ross Westbrook at number 65, and Lonzo Ball at 78. I don't know why Lonzo Ball is in the equation. And 65 for Russell Westbrook is not so bad.
For a player that heavily struggled, the only reason Russell Westbrook is in the top 100 out of almost 3,200 basketball players in a single season is because of the amount of news he generated, not the talent he exhibited last year. Uh, for NBA players, any news is good news. Good news, bad
Yeah,
news is news. And Russell will still bring fans to the game, even if it's for fans to boo him. So I think it's mostly on the impact he has in the overall viewership of the game than on the skills he showed
he showed.
last year. Uh, I still like Russell. Yeah, as a person, I think it's pure entertainment. I think I like the attitude he always shows when they interview him. He cares not, and I think that's the difference between him and a Ben Simmons, who clearly lets everybody knows that what we say about him affects
It's
him.
the truth. Oh,
Um, Russell Westbrook does not care, and I think that's a an amazing trait you must have to be able to block out the noise. I'm not saying when you are alone by yourself, you don't cry and
yeah,
enter a pity party, but when you are out there, you must show that you are stoic. You must show that you can block out external disturbances. Russell is very good at that. That's why he's still commanding up to 45 million, even after shooting, I don't know,
So
22%
so
from the
so,
3 point
so
line.
so many of balls last
Yeah,
season,
so
which
so
which
he,
was terrible.
Russell is good news. It's like saying, and say what you want about the Kardashians. As long as they keep showing their program, there will be people who watch them. That is who
With
Russell
them, yeah,
Westbrook is, a
yeah, yeah.
Kardashian right now.
I wonder what the Lakers would do to Ross
He,
this
uh,
this coming season.
the news we hear
Honestly,
is that he's going to share the playmaking role with Patrick Beverly.
oh wow, okay,
There's a third point guard, and Dennis Schroeder, Dennis the Menace that came in. Dennis will probably win the starting role. I think
yeah,
Dennis right now is better than both of them
both
because
of them exactly, 100%.
he's a better shooting point guard right now, especially mid range, which is where Russell struggles the most. Patrick Beverly can play, can distribute the ball, but at the business end of the season,
The
when
season,
points are hard to come by, you need a
yeah,
point guard that not only can
that can
facilitate
shoot.
attack but can get a couple of shots. And that is where Dennis Schroeder, I think, has the edge over the three of them. It's
All
now
right,
whether Russell will accept that role, because
the
if he
role.
doesn't, then the Lakers will unravel this season again.
Oh wow. Okay. And of course, Robert Williams of Celtic is injured right now, 8 to 12 weeks with a knee injury. Wishing him good luck while he comes back. And of course, going to football right now because we don't have so much for you guys today. Um, Kachi, there's a call for the head of Gareth Southgate. Gareth Southgate, for the young fans, should know that it was a very good defender during his A days,
Mhm.
made name for himself at Middlesbrough, and of course he has been touted around the league for a while. I don't think he's deserving of the job. But the crop of players that England has right
As
now, or
right
should I
now.
say have right now, they should be doing better, playing better, entertaining football. And I believe we've spoken about it on this show before now. When you see
Mhm.
guys like Harry Maguire, that had not been playing so much for their club, being thrown into the open and
Mhm.
play for the country, the
Mhm.
negative football that he plays, ensuring that is best right back in terms of attacking plays being kept off the team, the way he uses Harry Kane, which is quite different from the way Harry Kane plays right now. Harry Kane can bring more to the table, facilitate things, play as a number 10, or play making number 9. Let me put it that way. Because
Mhm.
football is quite crazy these days. A play making number 9, the way we play, the way you see Bukayo Saka play at Arsenal
And
and the
Arsenal.
rest. Yeah, and guys, Age just brings in this bad energy, this negative energy onto this well endowed attacking players. And when you see them, you're like, okay, are these the same guys that I see week in week out playing good football at their various clubs, or something crazy is happening to these guys? But when they go back the following week, you see these guys coming back with the goose again. Right? So you understand the fact that Gareth Gate is the problem. And I could refer you back to the last European Championship against Italy, where they had all the possibility, all the grit to beat a team like an old team like Italy, but they just don't come to the party. No thanks to the negative energy by their coach.
I don't
At,
want
the,
to call.
at this point, people are calling for his head that
Mhm.
he should be sacked. At
Mhm.
this point, very close to the championship, to the World Cup
Yeah.
itself. Do you think that is on the table or should be
Uh,
off the table?
definitely not. Shouldn't be on the table right now. Without a question, I think the main reason why this is happening, or the main reason why I blame Gareth Southgate rather,
Southgate.
is mostly because he has made the starters too comfortable in England right
Mm,
now. And that comfort is not bringing out the best of these guys. The fact that he came out to say, "Oh, I will stick by Harry Maguire until I cannot stick by him anymore," tells you all you need to know.
to know.
And it reminds me so much of uh, the Super Eagles issue between year 2000 and 2002, where we just had a cabal without necessarily having a cabal, where new talents couldn't break into the team, even if
Yeah.
they are invited. They are just invited to make up the numbers. We still know who will make up the first 11 or maybe even the first 23. I think that's where Garrett is getting it wrong right now. Those players are too comfortable. They don't feel motivated. When I say motivated, they are not motivated to perform better than they are right
Better
now
than they are
when
right
they
now.
wear that shirt. I also need to point out that right now that the players are going through a slump, and this is mainly because Garrett made Hurricane the only goal scorer in his team. It's very late to be bringing in the like of Tony and whoever it is he's trying to bring in now, because the time we had to bet these guys in, the Tammy Abrahams of this world, who never saw a minute. I'm not even sure he was on the team list in the team that played the last Euros.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I don't think Tammy made it. But the point is, even in the face of younger, hungrier attackers, hungrier players, Garrett sticking to the tried and trusted
Yeah.
is what is causing this issue he has right now. But I think he should be allowed to ride it out. There will be even a bigger issue if a new coach comes in now to try and change things. It's going to remind us of the French national team. I think it was in the 2010 World Cup when players
Yeah.
staged a walkout and
Workout.
nobody
Yeah.
wanted to work with Raymond Dominic.
Dominic.
Um, I don't think that's what the English team should do, but I think right after the tournament ends, that conversation should be brought up. He also
Because
got
I'm
too I think he also got too comfortable because
comfortable.
yes, when the expectations are so low and you perform above it, it looks as if you're a savior. The English national team are perennially underachieved. And when Garrett was able to get them to the semi-finals of the World Cup, which they
Yeah.
last got to in Italy during the Italian 90, he looked like
90.
he
Yeah.
was the next savior of English football. Yes, he was
Yeah.
able to add to that, but they rode on home advantage playing in the Euros to get to the finals until they
Finals.
met a stingier, even though older, but a team that knew how to stifle creativity. And if not for it being a final, that was probably one of the worst finals we've seen. If we're really going to be very honest with ourselves,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
probably one of the worst Euros finals we've seen. Um, and Garrett could not elevate his game or elevate his
It's
tactical
technical know.
acumen. So I think after the World Cup, especially if England does not play eye-catching football. They have a very winnable group. I know they play Wales, they play Iran, I believe, and the United States. It is a group they should come out from, probably top, and then we want to see them in the final four. If that does not happen, then I think the time has come for them to consider having a discussion. The only challenge is who do they start to think of? I would have said Graham Potter, but Graham Potter is an unknown quantity. I don't know if they want to try the foreign coach experiment they did with Ben Goran Eriksson again, because England we
Or Fabio
know,
Capello.
or Fabio Capello. I think those were the last two times they ever went, or probably the first and the last two times they went out of England to get a coach. There is no English coach right now that is heads and shoulders above his peers. I mean, the female national team had to go to Holland to get a coach
To
before they
get a
could break
coach.
the jinx. England might have to start thinking about that. I just don't know. I just don't think it should be before the World Cup. It's too soon. It's going to be.
There's
It's going to
there's
cause a lot of
there's a
disruption.
there's a certain Thomas Tuchel that was just sacked by Chelsea. I don't
Come
know
on,
if
come on. Tuchel will not survive club football. He needs national team football. He needs club football. There are some coaches that are not made. It's like asking Jose Mourinho to go into national team coaching right now. He needs to
eh,
be in
they,
the club.
maybe they can talk as a Wenger to a short term contract just for the World Cup. I would love Arsenal to win the World Cup anyways, and it's possible
No,
with his
no,
style of
no,
play. Arsenal can do it. In
no,
us in
no.
us in Arsenal, I believe.
Over eight
Anyways,
games. Over 8 games. No,
yeah,
I
it's
don't think so.
possible.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think so.
England they were relegated from their UEFA
Euro Nations
group
League. Yeah.
Nation League group, coming distant fourth position. And come to think of it, Hurricane scored just one goal in 5 games. They
Mhm.
had just 2 points in a group that paraded Hungary, Italy, and Germany. I don't take this Euro nation seriously, so that I won't put so much priority, or should I say so much importance. I won't attach so much importance to it. It's more or less like a warm up game. For me, that is why I see it. Anyways, going to
The
the
league.
guy the guy they call the GOAT, Ronaldo, right now. England, Manchester United are looking beyond him, and is looking blinker for the guy on a daily basis. Even with the Portuguese national team, I feel with what they have right now, Kachi, and this is in all honesty, I'm a Ronaldo fan. I love Ronaldo. I love Cristiano Ronaldo. But in all honesty, Ronaldo should not be even in this Portuguese team, if you ask me, as a starter.
He should not be a starter, yes. I think he can still bring some things to the team, but not as a starter. I think he should be an impact sub. That is where he can best maximize. Because the truth is, for 70 minutes in every game, uh, Portugal plays as if they're one man down, because Ronaldo will not track back. And then I'm even talking of a youthful Ronaldo. He would not track back. Not to now talk of an older Ronaldo. So I I would I would really have preferred that they give him the uh what's this man in Antoine Griezmann treatment, where he comes in the 61st minute and plays the last
Oh,
35 minutes of football.
yeah,
Um, that way, there's impetus. He can conserve his energy and use it for just a 30 minutes burst. And if it goes into extra time, then he plays an entire hour than him being a starter. I totally agree with you. I'm not saying he's useless. I'm just saying is more of a roadblock than he is a contribution to that team right now.
to
They
that
play
team right
better
now.
football when Ronaldo is not on the pitch, whether you want to admit it or not. They
And
play way better football.
United are looking beyond him now. Looks like even if he stays at United, he will be playing the Europa League until they are out of the Europa League. It would be an impact substitute in the league as well.
Mhm,
At this point, do you think Ronaldo should be thinking of a way forward for his career? Probably move
mhm.
to the MLS, come to Inter Miami,
Mhm.
and make some money, relax his bones, and enjoy this on time.
It's really not about making money, but I think he should start. He has always said he wanted to go into the movies. That his father named him Ronaldo after Ronald Reagan, who was an actor
Mm-hmm.
before he became president of the United
President of the
States.
United States.
He's
Yeah.
never hidden his admiration for being in movies. The time I believe is now for him to come into the United States. While Inter Miami might sound nice, David Beckham and the like, he needs to be in
Yeah.
LAFC, and start showing his roots in Hollywood. Yeah, to your point, I don't expect Ronaldo. I was a bit surprised that he went to England when he did, for that second time. I thought that was the best time to go to the MLS. But he's always been a very draining man. But someone needs to tell him the truth. Right now, he's surrounded by yes men. There's really no one telling him, Ronaldo, the truth, you can't cut it anymore.
You
Let's
can
call a
exactly.
spade. You need to
It's
leave
about
before it
time.
starts becoming embarrassing. Except he's willing to accept his Zlatan Ibrahimovic role, where you are just a mentor to the young guys. You might play
Mhm.
20 games in a season, but you will not start all 20. And he's happy. He's not going to bring
To
out
mourn about
fillers,
it, exactly.
and grumble, because you don't hear that from Zlatan. No one is worried or complaining that Giroud is an old man, but Giroud is younger than Zlatan and does something. He has even played well because Zlatan helped him take care of his body at this later
Uh huh.
part of his age.
Yeah.
Ronaldo needs to show these guys how to take care of their bodies. But if he's ready to leave Europe, I think the time has come for him to go to the MLS.
All right, perfect. Before we go on the show now, Kachi, we'll just go into a couple of Premier League games that we're looking forward to this weekend. Arsenal is going to be hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs with their not so much attacking football,
Hmm.
but their crazy counter attacking football with
Mhm.
two of the best players currently in England, Harry Kane and Son. on parade. Arsenal probably going to be missing Thomas Partey again.
Mm-hmm.
He went off
Are
injured.
we
Me
surprised? We're not
for
surprised.
I'm not. I'm disappointed. I'm unhappy about it, but I'm not surprised. And of course, Kerry Tierney had an head injury. We hope that is precautionary, anyways. But Zinchenko might not be available as well for us now. Spurs looks like they are really formidable right now. No injury concern at the moment.
Mhm.
Emirates, Kachi, what's your prediction?
Uh, it's going to boil down to how the Arsenal players handle the chaos that Antonio Conte would like to introduce into the game. Conte would like to cause a little bit of melee between players to get Arsenal players to lose their focus and their cool. So the bottom line would be, how does Granit Xhaka, who obviously with the absence of Partey will become more involved, and
Yeah,
maybe the younger Ferreira, I think his name Ferreira,
Family Kunga. So, oh, okay. Vieira, Fabio
Vieira,
Vieira.
rather Vieira, how he's also able to play in that middle with Granit Xhaka. The truth is, I think Arsenal wins this for the first time in a long time. But if they are unable to keep their cool, then the game will end in a draw. But Hurricane, expect Hurricane to get his regular
Go
North London derby goal. But I think Arsenal should have just enough in their prowess to win this.
to win this. All right, perfect. Now, of course, City versus United at the Etihad Stadium. City, they have a dangerous guy called Erling Haaland.
You have
Of
an
course,
alien. He's an alien,
yeah,
sir.
is an alien, of course, and of course, Jack Grealish doing his thing as well. KDB probably playing one of the best football. He just eclipsed the number of assists that the iconic Steven Gerrard had in the history, English Premier League history. Of course, Bernardo Silva, who happens to be an unsung hero
Mhm,
for City, and of course, looking at the United side as well. Rashford is fit. Anthony is playing well as well. And don't forget that they did not play their game before the international break, so they
mhm,
should probably have a fresher leg
mhm.
for this encounter as well. What's your outcome for this? Because of course, form does not mean anything when it comes to
In
the
derbies, yes.
to the derby. So
Yeah.
where are you thinking? Where's your head and where's your heart for this one?
My head and my heart. My head is with City. And the truth is, I shouldn't have any heart. But similar to how I explained my La Liga to you, that I don't like one team dominating La Liga.
Yeah,
And I usually support the underdog when they've suffered for too long. My heart says Man United, but the reason why I know United cannot win is just because when you do a combined first 11 of uh, United and City players, the entire 11 will be City players. The City is just better than United across the entire pitch. I think
hmm,
their quality will show on the day. Um, but credit to Ten Hag. I think he has a way of elevating his players when they are playing against the big guns. We saw how they set up against Liverpool. They
yeah,
deprived Liverpool of the ball. For United to be able to get anything out of this league, out of that game, the players must be ready to run at least 130 kilometers combined. It has to be non-stop running. If they don't, if they afford the City players space, De Bruyne, Silva, Bernardo,
yeah.
and that guy. We know that if you like, put the ball in the
In
high
the
tension,
heavens.
he can leap and get the ball. So there must be a magnet on him all through that day. But if they do all this, then
Yeah,
yes, they can come out with a positive result. But I just don't see how they can maintain that for 90 minutes.
it's
Dortmund
going to
tried it
happen.
for 76 minutes and they unraveled in 14 minutes. And that's what I expect. Not a high scoring game, maybe 3-2 or 2-1
All
in
right,
favor of
perfect.
City, actually.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. And of course, Liverpool against Brighton and Hove. Brighton and Hove just lost their coach to Chelsea. They just bring in Zeb from Atlanta, from the Serie to take over. And of course, the former Atlanta midfielder to take over from Graham Potter. What are we expecting? Liverpool has not they've not been on the best at their best in the course of the season. And Brighton and Hove, even if they lost their coach, they are not. It's not like they lost their sense
The style of play
overnight.
too.
This exactly they don't have lose their style of play. You see, have guys like Sasido, Trossard, um, this the Argentine boy McAllister as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Danny Welbeck and the rest that can actually out Liverpool, and they play a stylish football. Hope the new coach is not going to force some strange ideology to them. If they play the way they play ordinarily, and Liverpool does not up their game,
Hmm.
I'm saying something strange that could happen in this game. Your
Except
thoughts?
except Liverpool has really gone back to the drawing board to work out their kinks. I expect the same result, which is or the same outcome, which is Liverpool team struggling to create chances, struggling to also dominate it. Brighton and Hove do not fear anyone. We have to be honest about that. The only
Yeah,
thing that is holding Brighton and Hove or that would hold them back is if that the interim coach, for some strange reason, chooses that match to experiment. But if he tells those guys to play the way they know how and how they are used to playing, it's going to remind you of what Fulham did. I think that match ends in a draw. I think this season we overestimated what Liverpool would do based on
Liverpool do.
reputation. I think they have to take this as a learning phase to see that every dynasty has to be refreshed every 4 years. And it's time for them to refresh. This is one lesson Klopp has to learn from Pep Guardiola. This is why Guardiola does not keep the same team for every 2 years as well. Brighton are enough to get a draw in this game.
All right, perfect. And of course, Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. What's your thoughts about that as well? Crystal Palace play wonderful football under Vieira. We can't take that away from them.
Yeah.
Chelsea looks to be all over the place right now. Um, getting a new coach,
Mhm.
getting a new coach and whatnot, but they look all over the place. So this
Yeah.
might be tough one for Graham Potter.
No, I think he's been afforded enough time to steady the ship now. I think Graham's team will grind out a win. It won't be pretty, but that's what he needs right now. He just needs to start winning, not necessarily, excuse me, not necessarily play the prettiest football.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Crystal Palace, for all the wonderful football they tend to play, especially going forward, they still make those mental lapses at the back of the pitch.
At the
I think
back,
one
yeah.
of those lapses would hurt them. Um, to your point, English players, when they play and struggle under Gareth Southgate, the very next week, that very weekend, they come back to club football, they come out guns blazing. I expect to see almost all the English boys coming out guns blazing, and that will play into Chelsea's hand. Chelsea to win this by the odd goal.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Kachi, for staying tuned with us today and helping us with the analysis today. Till we see you guys again next week. My name is Ladija Adebo Alesi. I'm with the Italians this weekend. Salute and have a wonderful weekend. A wonderful week ahead. I said weekend. I wish weekend would never
I
end.
don't worry.
I
We'll
wish
probably move to a 3 day weekend very soon, Devon.
I can't wait for that. Thank you very much, Kachi, and have a wonderful week ahead.